Become conscious of precisely how you are using the words I am in your daily conversations. If whatever follows these two words is not fully aligned with your perception of how the creative source of the universe would be speaking, then make the correction on the spot. Say to yourself, I am the resurrection and the life in thought and feeling. According to the I Am Discourses of Saint Germain, quote, it immediately turns all the energy of your being to the center in the brain, which is the source of your being. You cannot overestimate the power in this statement. There is no limit to what you can do with it. It was the statement that Jesus used most in his most difficult trials, unquote. Secondly, notice how those around you, particularly family and close friends, use and misuse the inherent power of I am in their lives. Observe that many people say, I am weak, I am poor, I am depressed, I am sick, sad, afraid, I am unlucky, and so on. And they continue to attract that into their life. If they are willing to listen and change, gently remind them that there's no way to attract what they prefer without acknowledging and applying the active presence of God in them. No arguments, just gentle reminders. By observing and teaching the I am awareness, you will become more aligned with your highest self. And 3, remind yourself often that you have to send the old, unworkable fabrications about your highest self out of your life forever. Be able to say, I am God with pride and assurance that you are not being blasphemous or inappropriate. Believing in that ego-driven idea of a guide as a malevolent super being who plays favorites and is filled with rage if you displease him is akin to believing in the Easter Bunny and praying to that rabbit to solve your problems. Keep uppermost in your thoughts the words of Jesus. God is love, and that you are proud to be that all-powerful God yourself. You are God, the I am that I am. Know it and stay in harmony with this divine I am presence. Perhaps now it doesn't sound so foreign to you to assert your divine nature. You might just want to start by being careful not to use the words I am when describing yourself in any way that isn't congruent with your newly awakened, God-realized self. The lines of the 40th verse of the Tao Te Ching, quote, being is born of non-being, unquote. This was Lao Tzu's observation 2,500 years ago. The visible world of being originates in non-being. Some 500 years later, Jesus would tell his followers, it is the Spirit who gives life. John 6:63. I could go on through all of the great spiritual traditions and offer you quote upon quote that states that it is in the invisible, formless realm that the originating spark of life begins. Today, the world of quantum physics confirms that the universe is made of formless, spiritual energy, and that particles, that is things, do not originate from particles themselves. Everything springs from something that is akin to your imagination. You can't touch or taste or see or hear or smell it. It has no boundaries. You can't prove it with mathematical formulas or scientific verification, yet we all know that it exists. These invisible thoughts that you have, these ideas that continue to percolate within you, these fanciful imaginings that are always with you, are beyond the scope of science to prove or disprove. It is up to you to channel and use this magnificent endowment to work in the creation of all that you choose to place in that imagination. Taking charge of your imagination. My favorite definition of success, which I've cited on numerous occasions, was offered by Henry David Thoreau in the middle 19th century at Walden Pond. Quote, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. I've italicized 2 words in Thoreau's definition of success, dreams and imagined. What Thoreau is saying to us is so important to you today. Be willing to dream and imagine yourself becoming all that you wish to be. If you live from those imaginings, the universe will align with you in bringing all that you wish for, even more than you imagined when you were living at an ordinary level of consciousness, or what Thoreau called common hours. Keep in mind this basic axiom. If all that now exists was once imagined, then what you want to exist for you in the future must now be imagined. You'll see as you listen throughout these foundations for fulfilling your wishes that using your imagination involves more intensity on your part than just imagining an occasional wishful thought. You must first unlearn some of the ways that you've been misusing or squandering the capacity your imagination has for providing you with an unlimited ability to manifest all that you desire. Thoreau called it advancing confidently in the direction of your own dreams. Unfortunately, some of us have learned to do the opposite with our imagination, and instead regularly use it to develop mental habits of advancing in precisely the reverse direction of our highest dreams for ourselves. Recall that I am God doesn't refer to your body in any way. It refers to the birthless, deathless, changeless spirit that remains in all the changing forms your body takes every moment of your temporary life here on earth.
That if you are not grateful for that which shows up in your life, you will block its entrance into your life. And if you're not generous with what does show up in your life, you will also block it. And so the ways to create this attitude of gratitude and this attitude of generosity are to begin a practice, a daily practice, of being grateful for all that shows up for yourself. That's the first thing. Just keep in mind how lucky you are to have anything that you might have. So the first thing that you do is develop an awareness of yourself as a recipient rather than a victim. You are a receiver, and you are in the act of having more show up in your life, and you are claiming that for yourself, not because you're selfish, but because you are entitled to the abundance of the universe, since you are the universe. And then secondly, I would practice a silent expression of gratitude whenever you start to see your desires manifesting from the universal source. Just tiny little indications inwardly that you are grateful. Thank you for allowing this to show up. Whenever a little coin shows up, just picking it up and putting it in your pocket and saying thank you. It's a symbol of all of the abundance that has shown up in my life. Then I would recommend that you daily become a person who's willing to tell those around you how much you appreciate them. Just simple little things like holding your spouse, not for just a little kiss, good morning or good night, but just maybe an extra 15 seconds of a squeeze and just, gee, it's really nice to have you in my life. I'm really grateful that you and I are married. I'm grateful that you're my lover. Or to your children, you know, I really am fortunate and blessed to be your father, or to have you in my life. Or even the sales lady, or even the waitress, or even the flight attendant. Thank you. I really appreciate your consideration in bringing me the fork I asked for, or putting the glass of water in front of me. Whatever, just little indicators of your appreciation. And then I'd be very thankful and avoid complaining as much as possible. Don't complain, don't explain. A good rule to keep uppermost in your mind. One of the things I do each day is I begin the day with an expression of gratitude and thanksgiving. Just a simple little statement. There are some people who get up every morning and say, "Good God, morning." And there are others who get up and say, "Good morning, God." I'm one of the people who's in the latter group. I say, "Good morning, God," not "Good God, morning." And I'm grateful every morning that I wake up, that I got another 24 hours, that I got through the night, that I had a good night's sleep, that I have a bed to sleep in, that I have a family, that I have my health, that I have whatever it is. And I'm thankful for that. And expressing it just not in a phony way, but even if it's done privately, it gives you that attitude of gratitude that allows the flow of energy to come into your life. Also, it's important to be grateful for all that you don't have, and for the struggles, and for the opportunity to transcend some of the things that you have perceived to be limitations, to transcend some of your addictions and some of your behaviors that aren't as harmonious and loving as you'd like them to be. Without those, you couldn't get to a higher place. And keep in mind always, as you're working on this attitude of gratitude, that the nature of thought is to increase, because the nature of everything in the universe is to increase, and the universe is made up of this energy, the same energy that allows you to think. So if the universe is expanding, and it's made up of what's in you, then your thoughts are also expanding. And if your thoughts are on things like, I don't feel very good, or I'm not happy, or negativity in any way, then that will be the thing that continues to expand. On the other hand, if your thoughts are on how grateful you are, then that will continue to expand. And of course, as you become more grateful, you are feeling more connected rather than separated. from that which is your source. It's also important to practice generosity in your life as a part of this principle. And that one of the things to do is to recognize that this is a way of being that definitely can be developed. You can, in fact, practice being generous. And generosity is a way of showing that you have trust in this divine intelligence. And stinginess and hoarding are a way of you saying, I don't think there's enough, I better hang on to it. And it's a disbelief in the abundance of the universe and more of a recognition of scarcity. And when you have a scarcity consciousness, it is scarcity that shows up in your life. And when you have an abundance consciousness, it is abundance which shows up in your life. Think of the things that other people do for you every day. Think of the things that you couldn't do without the help of other people. And become aware of the internal resistances that arise within you when you have an impulse to give. Remember that you're one human being connecting to another in a spirit of love and kindness and generosity. And this idea that, oh, I better not tip too much, or I better be very careful about how much I give because then they'll expect more. The more of this that you give away, the more that shows up in your life that you allow to flow through you, the more you encourage that which you would like to have manifested to show up for you in your life. It's one of the laws of the universe. It's simply stated as what goes around comes around. And as if you allow it to come around, it will continue to go around. If you stop it with your stinginess and your hoarding, then you stop the flow. And also it's important to practice being able to receive, just like it is to be able to give. Just listen to this. One breath in, I receive. I can't keep that breath. I have to give it back. Every breath you take is a giving and a receiving. It's the same way with the food that you eat. It's the same way with everything that we have in our life. We have a food chain that is natural to the survival of everything on the planet. There is a giving and there is a giving back. And all that we give back, we give it back in the form of fertilizers. We give it back in the form of our own bodies, which ultimately becomes tomorrow's food. Everything on the planet in this moment, as Ken Wilber says, is tomorrow's food. Giving and receiving. And the fact is, if you don't know how to receive, if it's difficult for you to accept from others, then you are blocking it just as much as your unwillingness to give. Giving, receiving. Receiving, giving. It's the way of the universe.
When you learn to trust in yourself, what you're really doing is trusting in the very wisdom that created you. And this key word here is trust. The use of the word trust could be used synonymously with faith. This faith to move mountains, this faith to be able to create things for yourself without having that little smidgen of doubt in there. Remember, as it says in Proverbs in the Old Testament, as you think, so shall you be. Your thoughts, of course, create your reality. And the application of this is that if you're doubting, if you're thinking about even the littlest amount of doubt, then that will be what you will work on. You will act upon that inner world of doubt, and you will manifest the result of doubt. And if you doubt something, then obviously, as Shakespeare said, our doubts are our traitors. William Blake had a wonderful line. He said, if the sun and moon should ever doubt, they would immediately go out. So it's almost like you have to have the faith of the sun and the moon, that you are a divine being that has this divine intelligence within it. And as I talk about trust, it's appropriate to look at the characteristics of this thing that has many names. The God force, the spirit, the invisible intelligence, the soul, the consciousness, the awareness. Whatever name or label that we place on it, it has certain characteristics. And this is a very tough area for us to master, because our egos, the part of us that are rooted in the physical domain, really strongly believe in our separateness from each other and from God. And because we are so attached to our separateness, it is very hard for us to now begin to trust in a unity kind of consciousness. A consciousness which says that I am much more than that which I observe. I am much more than my troubles. I am much more than that which I notice. As the noticer, I have this divine capacity. So what I'm talking about here is an intelligence or a God force or a divine awareness, whatever you want to call it, that is in all things. It's in that tomato seed, it's in the banana seed, it's in you, it's in everything. Everything starts with an idea, and this idea is not in the physical domain. To come to trust in this really means that you have to transcend the ego part of you and say, I have got to learn as an individual, as a particularized part of this divine intelligence, I have to learn about and adopt an intelligence that doesn't know how to particularize. I have to adopt and be a part of an intelligence that is everywhere. That's what universal means. Universal intelligence means there is no place that it is not. Okay? Now, if there's no place that it is not, it means that it is in me. And if it is in me and there's no place that it is not, it is also in everything that I process or perceive to be missing from my life. It's also in that. So if I would like to be able to manifest abundance of some kind, or a relationship, or a healing, or a seller for my home, or a promotion, or whatever it is, the intelligence that I am talking about, this universal divine organizing intelligence, that is the highest part of, that represents the highest part of you, is in the very thing that is missing. So here's a key line to learn about learning to trust. When you learn to manifest, you are doing nothing more than manifesting another aspect of yourself. You're manifesting another aspect of yourself. And when you get to this place where you're beginning to trust in this wisdom that created you, you're beginning to understand what this force is like and how different it is from the ego, which is the part of us that has separated ourselves from that force and has believed in our own sense of particularization or individualization. Remember, to develop the kind of trust that I'm talking about, you have to be able to process this intellectual fact that there is an intelligence in the universe that doesn't know how to particularize. It doesn't know how to individualize. It has no preferences. It is everywhere at the same time. It has no judgment. It is like electricity. It's just there. It's everywhere and in everything. And being in everything, it's in you and everything that you would like to manifest. So what you're doing as you manifest is just getting another part of yourself to align. When you learn to manifest, what you're doing is you are aligning your intention with divine intelligence. You are aligning your intention with divine intelligence. You are not creating. You are not bringing something from another world into this world. We don't do that. Everything that's in the world is in the world. We just combine things and we move things around that are already here. It's all here. The creative process is really nothing more than shifting around what is here already and aligning ourselves with it and redistributing it. It is always flowing. It never changes. And most important, it never dies. It never dies. When Lao Tzu, the writer of the Tao, 5 centuries before Christ, was asked the question, "What is real, Master? What is real?" His response was, "That is real, which never changes." Somehow, you have to figure out a way to know the part of you that never changes.